woman Anna O'Rourke, and she told us on that occasion that she was heading out to the Greek island of Leros to set up a soup kitchen for the migrants who are still coming in their hundreds, if not in their thousands, from Syria and other parts. And she is there right now, and we join her live, or she joins us live from Leros. Good morning, Anne.
Morning, Billy. How are you?
I'm very well indeed. And how are you in Leros?
I'm okay. I'm okay. I suppose that's the best thing to say.
What did you find on arrival?
What did I find on arrival? Well, first of all, just to give you an idea, we took 3 flights over, Billy, to get here. And when we were in Athens, we got a phone call from one of the volunteers to say what time would we arrive in the island. And we said about 11. And they asked us, could we be on call for 5? So it was straight into it. And that was a kind of a bit of a surprise. I thought we'd be eased into it. We weren't. There's a great need for volunteers out here and a great need for help. It's very surreal. You see it on the telly and you read about it, and all of a sudden it's in front of you, you know. It's hard to watch it. We're after being put to work in an old hospital, an old abandoned hospital. When we approached it, it was a bit scary. You know, it has those big, huge steel high doors, like something like Game of Thrones, it looks like. But when we got in, it was outside now, it was broken windows and everything. But when we got in, actually, it was a lot better. There's a great woman called Martina who, she was an ex-judge, and she's running it. And we're in there working with the most vulnerable. They're brought in there by the police, the port police.
And what exactly are you doing?
Well, what we've been doing over the last few days, like say for example yesterday, the port police arrived down with this lady and 2 small children. One about 5, the other about 7. Little dolls. Now they were just tiny, and she was pregnant. One of the volunteers said to me, "You have to kind of find a place for her to stay." She's pregnant, very, very pregnant. And I said, "How pregnant?" And she said, 9 months pregnant. So she'd come across on the boat yesterday, was drowned wet. The children were drowned wet. They reminded me of, you know, when you see an animal in the headlights and they have look of
terror.
Whatever, that's strange. Yeah, the kids were just completely traumatized, and they were standing looking at me, and at first I really didn't know what to do, and in the end, obviously everything you start working, and I got them into a nice room. We're very lucky in the area, the place we're in, because there's actually beds. The camps are very different. But because she was pregnant, the 2 children had already suffered from hypothermia. They were taken off a small island that they landed up on by one of the rescue boats. They were drowned wet. The little one had a terrible cough altogether. And they had given them something to wear when they were on the boat, and the little one had something like a little tiny T-shirt, and so it was like somebody's old communion jacket, you know, a man's, little boy's old on her, no shoes, and her feet were just raw red, you know, and she just kept staring at us, and eventually, anyway, I got them into a room and got sleeping bags for them, and tried to, you know, tell them they were safe, and just to take, you know, relax, and then eventually the father kind of comes running in looking for them, because he didn't know where they were at this stage, and when they joined one another, you could just see the relief on all their faces, you know. The mother was so pleased when she saw there was a bed in the room for her, you know. They expect very little, and they're very grateful. They have little notes written on their doors that they put themselves, say, "Thank you, Europe. Thank you, Greece." You know.
And they're still coming as we speak.
They are still. Last night, when I was there, I think 39 came in. And remember, that's only for where I am. We're only getting the most vulnerable. So we got, say, for example, we got one little boy was handicapped. He was at another farm.
That's just 39 into where you're working, yeah, not
that
to the...
was just in, and we're in the. This is nothing compared to the amount. Is nothing compared to what could the camps. The camps are very rough, We were in the camps yesterday evening because we were looking to see what type of food they're being served. And it was about 5:30, getting a bit dark. There was about 600 queuing up. And they just get a tin foil, a little tray and rice in it and a little bit of beans on the top. And they're very grateful, and a piece of bread. And then they just go and sit on the ground or on a pallet, or, the kids are sitting around. A lot of those little, those little 4-man tents, little small ones, a lot of those on pallets, hundreds of those, just around the camp.
And what are weather conditions like at the moment on Leros?
The weather condition, the weather during the day is quite good at the moment. They say there's going to be a change in it in the next few days. It's going to get windy. But at night it's very cold. And like with those kids now, you could see how cold they were. Like, a lot of people are coming in with no shoes on them because when they get on the boats they lose their shoes. So there's a lot of kind of feet, a lot of people with really raw red feet. I got from Sam McCauley's, Brian there gave me some pseudo cream, the little, he gave me some of the sample jars. So I took them over with me, and they were, last night now, we were kind of trying to give them to people, and they were delighted with them, But because a lot of these people, there was one man there, and I think he was with a group of 8, his family, and I think he probably suffers from dementia, but you could see he was totally confused, and the little boy that wasn't well, I don't know, he was hyperactive. I don't know how they held him down on the boat to get him across, because you couldn't even keep him in a chair, So they are drowning still. The last 3 days ago, a mother came across, and in the swell, she had a 6-month-old baby in her arms, and the baby went into the sea and drowned. She arrived into the old hospital, and they had to try and get her a private room to, like a little room, not a private room, but a little room that she could be with her husband and grieve for the short period she was on the island.
When you were on with me on the 15th of January, you said that your intention was to set up soup kitchens on Leros.
Yeah.
Is that still the case?
Yeah. It is, yeah. What we're doing at the moment is, and that's why we went down to the bigger camp last night, is we know that there are some restaurants supplying food, and some of the prices they're charging, are very expensive. I don't mean it to the refugees, I mean to the organisations. And for what they're getting, it's big profits being made, obviously, here, So we were trying to establish basically what they're being fed, and it's really mainly just rice. And then on top of it, these white beans with some kind of a tomato sauce type thing on it. No meat in it. I'd say there was about, I don't know, maybe half of a carrot chopped up. But there's no protein in it or anything, and they've a long journey ahead of them,
Now, and what about you and your husband? I mean, what's your accommodation like?
We rented a little house, which we were delighted with, but we should have known better. We got it very reasonable, and the first night we'd no electricity, so it would have probably been better to have stayed with the refugees. And today now the water is gone, and there's loads of things like that, but it's nothing. It's fine. It's not a big deal. When I got married at first, I lived in a little house in Fleet Field. And I remember we had the outdoor toilet, and I thought that was finished, but we're back out to getting up in the middle of the night to the outdoor toilet. So, but it doesn't really matter, So there's so much can be done out here. A lot of it boils down to people being decent and money. I just want to say that I have a Facebook page, Billy. It's Anna Rourke, Greek Refugee Appeal, and anybody interested in making any donations, €5, €10, it doesn't matter.
So it's a Facebook page, Anna Rourke?
Anna Rourke, Greek Refugee.
Greek Refugee.
Crisis, yeah.
Okay.
And it's, the money goes, I get the money here, and the money is going to be spent directly. There's nothing in the middle. There's nothing going to anybody. If it's a fiver, it doesn't make any difference what it is. I can buy, like with a fiver, I can buy 100 oranges.
Right.
You know, or maybe even more. Can go to the farmers here and get them, because they have no fruit or vegetables, or you know, they have nothing like that. It's nothing. It's just rice, really, and rice and a little bit of beans maybe on it, and a slice of bread. That's all. But they're grateful. They're grateful for us. They don't complain.
And thanks for joining us this morning, and we'll keep in touch with you. Okay. God bless you.
Thanks, Billy.
God bless. Bye-bye. A Waterford woman simply lighting a candle in the darkness, and her husband is with her on the island of Leros. You heard her story. Doesn't need any explaining, does it? And her Facebook page is Anna O'Rourke Greek Refugee, if you want to get involved there. You're listening to Wednesday's Dash AM, and we're coming to you live from our West Waterford studios here in Dungarvan.